before. We're really getting really weird when it comes to um, the older NBA, right? This summer, or I can't even say this summer, but probably for the past few years, maybe even more than the past few years, probably ever since the retirements of many of the 80s and 90s NBA players, maybe even some of the 2000 NBA players, uh, the praise or the honor for the older generation, the basketball players that came before what we see now, it's getting really weird to the point. It's just like it's so easy for everyone to be disrespectful to them. Like I said, we got Anthony Edwards out there saying that basketball players during Jordan's era had no skill, and many of them now are slowly speaking up because they're getting tired of hearing this dumb stuff from these players who don't even have half the accomplishments of a Magic Johnson. It's crazy. And I blame that drunk coach that's currently about to coach his first season for the Los Angeles Lakers for this. I blame him for that. I ain't gonna say his name. You guys already know who I'm talking about. I blame him. I blame his cronies back at ESPN, the FS1, for putting this disrespect into the air. And I think we're starting to understand why it's happening so much, why it continues. And it's simply because they want to poo poo Jordan's camaraderies, his opponents, to act like they were just piglets running out there playing, and Jordan was just this person who was so great, which he was, but the players that he played against were just as great. Not at his level, but they were great. They were Hall of Famers. They were on the top 50 players, top 50 anniversary team and 75 anniversary team. Most of them are. So I don't know where this is coming from. Other than, yeah, they're trying to find ways to demoralize and act like Jordan's competition was nothing. Like I said, plumbers and firemen and electricians, which is not even true. But there is one that constantly gets disrespected, and I'm starting to see a lot now, is Reggie Miller. And it's starting to say now that Reggie Miller wouldn't even make it in today's NBA. Like this one, for example. Like this comment, for example, is the reason why I created this video. And it's responsible regarding to a different video, the Ben Wallace versus Draymond Green. And this commenter said, total BS. Pacers. Reggie Miller Pacers play nothing like modern pace and oh god, these people's grammar. Like modern pace and space basketball. They played the stagnant, outdated 90s ball. Even Miller himself was nowhere near talented as a modern guard. He wasn't even one of the best during his own era. Stop this nonsense. See, stuff like that right there doesn't even make any sense. And I'm scrolling through this right now to look for any more dumb stuff because I don't even know how Reggie Miller even got put in this. Reggie Miller's just catching strays. But anyways, let's go and look at Reggie Miller right quick. You know what? I don't care this video, how long this video is. I'm gonna make a point here. So I know you got some people that are, get to the point and try to tag the video when I actually start speaking all kinds of dumb stuff. So let's get in. Reggie Miller, right? Born in Riverside, California. Went to Riverside Polytech High School. I don't even think it's technically, well, maybe it is Polytech. Yeah, it is. I'm thinking of a different high school. When he first started his career, I mean, before he even started his career, he didn't. Um, he wasn't a healthy person. What I mean by that, he had hip deformities to the point he couldn't walk. He had to wear braces, right? And eventually, he turned to what we saw today. He overcame that. Um, Now his sister on there is Cheryl Miller. We don't know how good she was. Some of us might know how good a basketball player she was. Coming out of USC, Olympic gold medal, Olympic basketball winning, also as well. But let's skip ahead. So he did his 4 years at Riverside Polytech before he went to UCLA. He became a star at UCLA from 1983 to 1987. Does he have any UCLA? I don't think he does. He was third team All American, UPI, two team first team All Pac 10 in 86 87, NIT MVP in 1985. When they played, who they played that year. And number, of course, number 31 was retired with the UCLA Bruins. Um, when the 3-point field goal was added for the 86-87 season, Miller was 69 of 246 7 field goals that year were 3-pointers. One of his most memorable performances was in January 24th, 1987 game against Notre Dame Fighting Irish, where he hit a 24-foot shot to put the Bruins ahead 62-59 with 10 seconds left. He also hit a game winner against defending national champion Louisville and Purvis Ellison on a month later when he scored 33 points in the second half, which is still a school record. And his final game was a loss in the second round, which made him finish second in all-time scoring at UCLA behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And most of his records at UCLA still holds. UCLA single season records for most league points, highest league scoring, average, and most free throws. He still holds several individual game records as well. And is also part of the Pac-12 Conference Hall of Honor in 2010, which I don't even think it exists anymore. Now, since the Pac-12 has been mutilated and deleted to not only two teams, and most of the other teams going to the Big 12 and Big 10. There's only two teams left in the Pac-12 or Pac-10, whatever you want to call it. Oregon State and Washington State, for anybody who didn't know. He was drafted in 1987 by the Indiana Pacers, first round 11th overall pick. Now, he wasn't a big time fan favorite by the Indiana Pacers when he was drafted by the Pacers in 87 by Pacers president Donnie Walsh. They booed him. They was quite upset. And he started being the backup to shooting guard John Long before he actually became a starter. And after Chuck Person, who was also a decent player himself, Chuck Person, playing on teams such as the Pacers, that's where he started at, Timberwolves, San Antonio Spurs, Charlotte Hornets, and Seattle Supersonics. At the small forward position, he was drafted the year before Reggie, coming out of Auburn. But I'm saying about Chuck Person. So after Chuck Person was traded from Indiana in 1992 offseason, he finally became the primary scoring threat. That's probably why he didn't get many All-Stars. We can get on that later. On November 20th, 1992, he scored a career-high 57 points against the Charlotte Hornets in a 134-122 win at the Charlotte Coliseum. He hit 16 of 29 field goals, 4 of 11 three-pointers. And 21 of 23 free throws. His 57 points he scored was the second highest total in the NBA during the 92-93 season, when only Michael Jordan's 64 against Orlando on January 16th was higher. And it still stands today as the Pacers' NBA franchise record, although George McGinnis holds the Pacers' all-time franchise record of 58 points. But that's in an ABA game. of course. So, with all Paul George and Tyrese Halliburton and all these guys that came after Reggie Miller, none of them has cracked that. Miller finally became a household name during the '94 Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks. Dude, just shooting the lights out. He scored 39 points on June 4th in 1994 in Game 5. 25 points in the first quarter alone, excelling the Pacers to win. And he's also famous for 8 points in 9 seconds on May 7, 1995, of course, against their nemesis, the Knicks. He scored 8 unanswered points in 8.9 seconds in the Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Knicks, leading the Pacers to a 107-105 victory. With 18.7 seconds remaining, the Pacers trailing 105-99, Miller took the inbound pass from Mark Jackson and made a three-pointer, stole the inbound pass from Anthony Bennett, dribbled behind the back arc, and tied the game with another 3, stunning the crowd of Madison Square Garden. On a ensuing possession, Knicks guard John Starks was fouled by Sam Mitchell. Starks missed both free throws, although Patrick Ewing managed to get an offensive rebound, something that these dudes can't do that much these days. He hit a shot with it just a bit along and hit the back of the rim. Miller got the rebound, so he missed the shot. Miller got the rebound and was fouled with 7.5 seconds left. He made both free throws, trailing by 2. New York had one more chance to win the game, but failed to get off a shot, giving the Pacers a shocking 1-0 lead in the best of 7. And the Pacers will win this series, but go on to lose to the Atlanta Magic in the conference semifinals. Conference finals in 7 games, just like the previous year. Conference finals. Miller got hurt near the end of the '96 season with an eye injury, and they didn't do much. Miller fell to the floor and suffered an eye injury, leaving him unable to play in the playoffs until Game 5 of the first round against the Atlanta Hawks, where he wore goggles. Pacers lost to the Hawks and were eliminated. See, there was also another thing that Reggie Miller played on super teams with the Indiana Pacers, which is probably the most laughable. And probably, I wouldn't say his claim to fame, is the Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers going toe-to-toe with the Chicago Bulls in the '98 postseason, which was an eccentric, exciting series. I actually watched that series earlier this year, all the way through. And that series, man, talk about defense and teams not liking each other. Gee whiz. Reggie Miller didn't back down from Jordan. Nope. On May 25th, 1998, the Pacers trailed Chicago 2 games to 1 in the series and were behind 94-93 in Game 4 at Market Square Arena, no longer around. With 2.9 seconds left, Miller got a free throw, got free from Jordan, caught the inbound pass from Derek McKee, turned and made a game-winning 3-pointer with 0.7 seconds to go. And like I said, they pushed the Bulls to 7 games. In Game 7 in Chicago, the Pacers did lead in the fourth quarter before fading away in the final 2 minutes because the GOAT came alive. The Bulls won 88-83 and went on to win their 6th and final championship under the Jordan Scottie Pippen era. Now, after Jordan retired, Indiana thought, yeah, it's our time, but they ended up losing to the 8th-seeded Knicks in that shortened lockout season. But eventually, they did get to the NBA Finals where they played the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, beating the 76ers. I forgot who they beat the first round. I know they beat the 76ers at the conference semifinals. And then ended up getting their revenge on the Knicks in 6 games. With Reggie Miller going crazy in Game 6 with 34 points, 17 coming in the fourth quarter on a 93-80 win. And they got to the NBA Finals, like I said, and lost in 6 games, where Reggie Miller did average 24.3 points a game for that series. But eventually, I think it was pretty much after that finals, the Pacers started to slope a little bit, if I remember. Reggie Miller was starting to get older and everything. I think they tried it one more time. Again. They tried it one more time because they had that team with Jermaine O'Neal and Steven Jackson, a.k.a. CB4, Ron Artest, and all of them. And Reggie Miller still had it back then. I think he scored 55 points in 05, 2005, 2000, no, 2004, 2005 season. I'm tripping. No, he didn't. Jermaine O'Neal scored 55 points. See, this is why nobody never broke that, I guess, because the closest person that actually tried to break that record, Reggie Miller had at 57 points, was Jermaine O'Neal, but he got subbed out of the game with 1 minute remaining. But yeah, they had their chance. Reggie Miller had another chance to get to the finals, but it just didn't happen because of the Malice in the Palace and everything, and that kind of put everything to waste. So it didn't happen. Um, After a game against the Toronto Raptors, he did pass Jerry West to 12th on the NBA's all-scoring list. And his last game was on May 19th at the Conseco Fieldhouse, which I don't know what the name of it is now, when the Pacers lost 88 to 79 to the Detroit Pistons in semifinals in their series in 6 games. In his last game, Miller led the Pacers with 27 points, making 11 of 16 field goals, including 4 of 8 three-pointers. And contrary, well, I wouldn't say contrary, compared to how he was drafted with boos and angry scowls and everything, 15.seconds left, the Pacers fans gave him a final standing ovation. Even the Pacers players joined over there. This is kind of funny because just before that they had that big ass brawl. But that's how much respect Reggie Miller had. Um, Now Reggie Miller is one of 5 players to spend his whole entire career of 18 or more seasons with a single franchise. And he's, of course, widely recognized as being one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. Miller's only one of 9 players to join the 50-40-90 club. He has made 2,563 pointers in his career with an NBA record at the time of his retirement until it was broken by Ray Allen and then later surpassed by Stephen Curry. And he's also part of the top 75 anniversary team as well, named the 47th greatest NBA player in NBA history. He averaged 24 points. That's his career high in averages. But almost every year from probably 89 up until at least the 97-98 season, he started getting his 30s around that time, he averaged around 20 points a game, somewhere around there. And this is what people seem to forget. Reggie Miller, if you watch Reggie Miller, he's coming off screens. In probably one of the toughest eras of defense in NBA history, which is the 90s. He's coming off screens. He has to get open, and he's knocking them down. He's not just being left wide open like they are now with all this freedom of movement stuff they got going on. He had to work for his threes. So I understand the whole idea of him not being able to play in this league, being not as great as these modern players. I think KG said it best. I don't know when he said it, but in the last few days that some of these players now wouldn't be able to play back then. They wouldn't even been drafted. I think Reggie Miller can play in the 90s and 80s, and I think he can play now. And he'll probably average more points now because of the freedom of movement. See, I want to equate Reggie Miller to Klay Thompson, right? Outside of the championships, they both got the same All-Stars. But probably Klay Thompson probably got a little bit more defense on him and his profile than Reggie Miller. But Klay Thompson ain't part of that 50-40-90 club. I don't think he's coming close to even breaking his former teammate's record at all, and Steph Curry. Reggie Miller would probably be like Klay Thompson offensively if Reggie Miller was to play in today's league. So I don't get where that's coming from. Let's see here. Reggie Miller is a 5-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA third team. Like I said, NBA 75th anniversary team, 50, 40, 90 club as well. Let's see here. Keep going. See my notes right quick. He did receive some MVP votes in '98 and the '98 and 2000 season. He did become the first player to start in the NBA All Star game in '95 because Jordan wasn't there. And like I said, he did retire the NBA leader all time in 3-point field goals made. He led the league twice in 3-point field goals made in '92-'93 season. Made a 3-pointer in 68 consecutive games from November 15, 96 to April 6, 97. Led the league in free throw percentage 5 times. Like I say, he's part of that 50, 40, 90 club of players who shot 50% or better from the field, 40% or better from the 3-point range, 90% or better from the free throw line in a single season. That list including Larry Bird, Mark Price, Steve Nash, Dirk, KD, Stephen Curry, Malcolm Brogdon, and Kyrie Irving. He ranks second at all time in 30-point games against the New York Knicks with 9, trailing only Michael Jordan with 15. Like I said, he is a Hall of Famer as well. And also, was that last one right there? Yeah, he's only an NBA player that played 18 or more seasons with one team. I don't know why Karl Malone's on that list. Because he did go to the Lakers, but John Stockton, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Dirk, and him. Reggie Miller, of course, scored over 25,000 points, grabbed over 4,000 rebounds and 4 assists for his career. 96 Olympic game gold medalist for the Dream Team 2 in Atlanta. And then he did win a gold in the FIBA World Championship. USA Basketball Male Athlete of the Year in 2002. So, yeah, I don't know what it is about Reggie Miller. I get it with Reggie Miller when it comes to his commentary, how much he you know caps for LeBron. That does get annoying. Sometimes you got to mute the volume down whenever he's commentating on the games. I get that part, but as a player, he's known as the Nick Killer. Outside of Jordan, he's next to Jordan when it comes to killing the Knicks, especially in high pressure situations. The disrespect. And like I said before, there's another one that throws me. That I don't get. I don't get the. I just don't get that he played on the super team thing. Let me see the 2099 2000 Pacers. Because they were trying to. This one goofball trying to compare his teams to Paul George's teams. And when they went to the finals that year, they had Jonathan Bender, who never could get himself healthy. He was supposed to be big, but he never did. He had Travis Best. People probably don't remember him. Austin Crowsher, Dell Davis, Jeff Foster, Al Harrington, a younger Al Harrington, Mark Jackson, who was pretty much on the decline of his career. Derek McKee, Reggie Miller, Chris Mullin, who was approaching 40 quickly, Sam Perkins, who was already in his 40s, Jalen Rose, a younger Jalen Rose, Rick Smith, who was having trouble with his feet, Zach Tabak, I think that's how you pronounce his name, from Croatia. They did have a 56-26 record. Started out the season 7-7, got the straight title. That's not a super team I just listed. That's not even close to a super team. But they got to the finals though. Let me see here. The season, they just had a good coach in Larry Bird. who was coaching around that time. Before that, it was 33-17. They pretty much had the same team, except they had Antonio Davis, Fred Hoiberg, if you guys remember him, Mark Pope, and that's pretty much it. Now, the season when they went 7 games with the Bulls, of course, Larry Bird was coaching. It was 58-24. They had Travis Best once again, Edric Bohan, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Austin Crosher, Antonio, the Davis brothers, both of them, Fred Hoiberg, of course, Mark Jackson, Derek McKee, Reggie Miller, Chris Mullin, Mark Pope, and Jalen Rose, of course, and way younger Jalen Rose now, Rick Smith, Mark West, and Hayward Workman. Man, I haven't heard that name in a minute. And Hayward Workman didn't even play that season, all of the season, because he was hurt. And that team barely can get past. I can't say barely get past. They almost beat the Bulls. That's probably the best team they might have had. And it wasn't good enough. Austin Crosher was on that. Yeah, I did say his name. He was a rookie that year. So I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know where this is coming from that he had a super team. Do I need to go through all the teams that he had? There's nowhere close to a super team. Chris Mullins, the team before that, when the Bulls played the Jazz the year before that, 96-97 season, Travis Best, Eric Dampier, Davis brothers, Dwayne Farrell, Darvin Ham, Fred Hoiberg, Mark Jackson, Derek McKee, who's injured, Jalen Rose, Brent Scott, Rick Smith, LaSalle Thompson, Hayward Workman. That does not sound like a super team. This is the thing I don't get. So, you said these idiots say that they're plumbers, right? Plumbers, and they weren't good and didn't have skill and everything, right? They say that about the old NBA beyond the 2000s, before the 2000s. They always say that. And now they want to fix their lips and say that Reggie Miller played on the super team, but I thought these guys had no skill. It's like, which one is it? Pick your argument and stay with it. These dudes flip-flop so much. I can keep going down the line. They didn't get to the playoffs that year. When they lost to the Hawks, Adrian Caldwell, the Davis brothers still, Dwayne Farrell, they still pretty much had the same team. Older Ricky Pierce. They didn't get out the first one. They lost to the Hawks. 94-95 season, when they probably had a chance to do something because Jordan wasn't in the league. They lost in the conference finals to Magic for 7 games. It's 52-30. That team had the Davis brothers, Dwayne Farrell, Vern Fleming, Scott Haskins, Mark Jackson, Greg Kite, Derek McKee, Sam Mitchell, Byron Scott, Rick Smith, LaSalle Thompson, Haywood Smith. And some people missed the entire season because of injuries. Being Damon Bailey and Scott Haskins, who was out for the whole season with a back injury. Doesn't sound like a super team to me. I don't even see any All-Stars except for, I don't even think Reggie Miller was an All-Star that year. So, where is the super team coming from? He wasn't an All-Star that year, 95. 94-95 season. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. See, these dudes just be saying anything and don't do their research. What pisses me off even more, because they just saying dumb stuff. And the fact that, you know what you're talking about, you dumbass. They get on there and say that type of stuff, which pisses me off even more. Because all they got to do is do their research. But they too damn lazy and too stupid to do their damn research. So this is why we're at where we're at when it comes to the current NBA. Who was the second leading scorer? Rick Smith did make it to the All-Star that year. Not bad. He averaged 17.9 points, 7.7 rebounds. They didn't even have Antonio Davis for all that season because he was out with a back injury. No, they didn't have a super team. I don't know why they keep saying dumb stuff like that. The team was injured. Let's check the year before, 93-94 season. First season Jordan was out of there. They was 47-35. Does not sound like a super team to me. It's not a super team thing. Check the year before that. Last year Jordan played before he decided to take hiatus. They was 41-41. Got kicked out of the first round against the Knicks. Super team my foot. But anyways, I ain't done with this disrespect of the old NBA. I'm not done. I'm sorry that I made this long, but things have to be said. They have to be said. Because I'm not going to keep allowing, we're not going to keep allowing this. The ones on YouTube that you guys, some of you guys probably subscribe to, we're not going to let this stupidity keep going out there. Reggie Miller was a decent player. And if he played in today's league, forget 24 points a game. He'd be almost averaging the way they shoot now these days. And him seeing the 3-point open without freaking trying to get through screens. He'd be averaging almost 29 points a game, 28 points a game. And he wasn't just shooting threes either. He shot mid-range. His mid-range was pure too because he was a pure shooter. So he could shoot all across the floor. And damn, he don't have to play defense like that because they don't honor defense these days. Oh my God, man. What are we talking about, man? First, I thought it was the 1990s. People born in the 1990s, early 1990s, from 90 to 93, 94 maybe. First, I thought they was being disrespectful. Now I learned daily research today that most of the people my age honor the old NBA because that's what they grew up on. It's these freaking dumbass glue sniffing Gen Zers that are the ones being disrespectful.